Thank you. Am I on? Okay. Never know with this. There are some things that I love about Zoom and some things I don't like so much. But the good news is I can tell you I have a nice pair of dress pants on, and I actually have some very comfortable shorts right now because I'm upstairs in my meditation and yoga room, which is a beautiful space. But what's also true is the air conditioning that I have up here is very noisy, so I have to go without because otherwise I don't think I'll be able to be in that place of stillness that I want to come from. So um, I don't do Zoom that much, actually. I don't care for it in some ways, but I'm so grateful for it in others. But to see all your faces, honestly, I just feel so grateful, and I just want to have conversations with so many of you right now, and I want to share hugs with so many of you right now. So I'm grateful to be a part of this morning. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, I was trying to think. The title of my talk is "You Are the One That Is Aware of It All," and it's a bit of a mouthful, but there's been some things that have been really striking me a lot lately. I visited my mom about, I'd say about 3, 4 weeks ago, and I was meditating at her place in her dining room area because that was the best place to do it at. And in her dining room, she has these vertical blinds, and that whenever the air conditioning kicks on, they kind of bang against the wall. So when I first went in there, it was all quiet and nice and silent. And then as I'm meditating, I hear clunk, 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 click, 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 and these things just kind of rattling against the wall. And at first, I was a bit annoyed with it. I was being aware of my annoyance to it. And then I'm like, isn't it all just a meditation? Isn't it all where we're just being aware of everything going on? And so what happened for me in that moment was really quite nice because I just started meditating on the sounds that I heard and not resisting any of it. I just started noticing the kind of the pattern that they had. And I noticed that there were some birds outside chirping that I could hear, and just noticing my breath and the sound of my breath. I also had one other incident that really kind of moved me in this direction as well, and that is when I did a retreat. What was it? Last November, I did a retreat with a dear friend of mine, um, and Carol and Jenny were there as well. Jennifer, excuse me. And anyhow, my friend Jenny was leading this mindfulness yoga that I think Jennifer Lenders does a similar thing as well. But it was just noticing, just notice any discomfort you might have in your legs, or just notice the feet. And it was all just about noticing. And it became this really, I think it's called gentle yoga, but it just became this gentle meditation of just watching it all. And I started to see, I think from maybe for the first time in a more expansive way, that we really can just observe it all. I have one other story I want to share with you that was very touching for me, and that was I went down to the Canyonlands in Arizona along with a group of, I'd say, it's kind of a shamanic type group, and we went down there into the Canyonlands where the Hopi Indians live, and they allowed us to have their space for a week. And so we hiked down. This is in Arizona. And there were some Incan shamans that joined us, as well as one woman from Chile who was a shaman. And it was just such a wonderful, well, most of it was a wonderful experience, except for it rained almost every single day that we were there, except for after raining for, I want to say about 4 days straight, solid rain, just kind of being miserable in our tents and camping, but still being able to connect with people from their hearts and stuff. So it was still really nice. But the woman from Chile, she was doing a full moon ceremony only there was no full moon visible because we had way too much cloud and rain and all of that. And so anyhow, she said, well, I'm going to start praying, and I'm going to start, she started doing some of her rituals. And I think it was supposed to be, I don't know, I'm going to just say it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And again, it had just been raining the whole time. I'm like, wow, I don't know that this full moon ceremony is going to take place. And so she prayed and did her thing, and literally minutes, just a few moments, right when the ceremony was supposed to happen, all of a sudden the clouds clear up and you see this big, beautiful, bright moon. And she begins to dance and talk to us and just tell stories that were just really beautiful. And one of the stories she told was that when she was doing workshop or retreat or something, that she was just sharing with people, just dance from your heart, just let everything go and just dance from your heart. And she noticed that she wasn't dancing from her heart. And she's like, wow, what is going on here? You know, why am I not just freely dancing? Why am I not in my heart? And then when she started looking around, she noticed that there was goose poop everywhere around and that she was trying to dodge the bullets. So she was trying to, master her way delicately around all the just the goose shit, and so she realized that sometimes we just kind of have to step into it. We just have to let it go. If we're going to dance free, sometimes it means just dancing in the shit. I don't know if this is a word we should be saying, but it is what it is, and you've already heard it, so I can't take it back now. But in any case, it's such a beautiful metaphor for all of us, that when we're trapped into, whatever caca we have going on in our life, and we're not sure how to dance in that moment from the truth of who we are. I was leading a meditation yesterday, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen I've been doing a lot of meditation almost daily where I'm leading it, and it happened in part a week ago, but then yesterday something really clicked for me, and that is how much time we spend trying to heal who we are not. I want to say that again. We spend so much time trying to heal who we are not. And what do I mean by that? I mean by, because you hear Reverend Andy talk about it, Delith and Craig has spoken about it. I've heard Dave speak about it several times, about that truth of who we are is right here, right now, in this very moment. And there's nothing wrong with, of course, looking for ways. We're all seeking and searching until we realize there's nothing to seek and search anymore, that we are everything that we've been seeking and searching for. But there is this dance of how do we awaken, how do we fully realize the truth of who we are. But what struck me yesterday in the meditation is I do my best, like my talks, to just empty my mind out as much as I can, my ego, my personality, and try to come from just a place of emptiness so that I can speak from that place where I can connect with the truth of who I am. And from that place, I am fully aware that I'm not broken. There's nothing to fix. There's nothing to heal. There's no growing that needs to take place. And I also know that's true about everybody. It's true for everybody. And a long time ago, my teacher said, people spend so much time trying to cut off all the branches of the tree when all they need to do is remove the tree from its root. And I didn't fully grasp what it meant in that moment. It took me some years after that I'd heard that. And I've heard Mooji say the same thing and other teachers say the same thing. But we spend so much time trying to cut off branch by branch, which is issue by issue of what the mind tries to convince us is wrong with us. So the mind has plenty to say. I just this morning and yesterday I made a post on Facebook because I felt the meditation that came through me was powerful. And I said, I feel like, I posted on Facebook, I feel like this meditation was powerful. You know, meditate on it, save it, repeat it. And my mind kept coming back at me over and over, like, how freaking arrogant of you to say that it's powerful and that it's, you know, that people should save it and they should do it over and over. And in my mind, I've been in this battle. And but I don't mind the battle. I don't mind the battle. I only mind it when I'm not being conscious of that thought and it's sucking me into this place of stress and suffering. But when I'm aware of that thought and I know that that thought is not the truth of who I am, there can be, not only can there be peace, but some of the old beliefs about who I am begin to fall away. And you know, I've referred back to this point in time because it was very momentous for me when at the viewing of Ram Dass's documentary Becoming Nobody, he said, we spend so much time trying to get rid of those things that we don't like when it's the very thing that's here to teach us who we are, to awaken to who we are. So the more we become aware of that we are not our thoughts or our beliefs behind those thoughts, it's this beautiful freedom that happens. It's the freedom that says, I can have whatever thought or whatever belief my mind wants to say, and I can still be 100% at peace. Completely at peace. And that, to me, is, you know, the peace that passeth all understanding. It's beyond the mind always. So getting back to this removing the tree from the root, adjust this a little bit because I like using my hands, and you can't see my hands, so you can only see a little bit of me moving. But removing the tree from the root means that we recognize, that we come to a place of realizing that we are not our thoughts. We are not our beliefs behind the thoughts. We are not our minds. And so when we remove the tree from the root, we can literally have any issue that's out there. It doesn't matter what the mind would say, that we're not enough, you know, or I'm too arrogant, or I'm too skinny, or whatever all my stories are on. I can have a million stories, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter unless I give that thought power. Unless I say, that's the truth. I'm really a nobody. Which actually a nobody is a good thing, but I'm using it in a different context here. But just all the things that our mind rips us apart with and really takes us down is where all the suffering and all the stress lie. And how much time and effort do we spend on trying to correct our thinking, or fixing ourselves, or trying to heal from our brokenness? How much time do you spend on that, sincerely? Because I would suggest to you that there's some people that spend their whole lives trying to be happy, but never achieving it, because they heal maybe 2 or 3 issues, and then 3 or 4 more pop up, because the branches of trees are always growing. When you cut off 2 or 3 more grow back. And so we have to come to a point, particularly in today's time, we have never been in a place where there's so much craziness that is going on. And if I looked from a mental perspective, I would say, oh my God, this is nuts. This is absolutely nuts. But then when I take a step back and I see that every single thing that happens is exactly the way it needs to be. Now, our mind might push back on that. I am not asking you to believe one single thing that I say, nothing. But I do invite you to try this on. Try this on. Have you not been diminished your whole life by your mind? Have you not been, for some, even been a slave to their mind, where the mind is our God in some ways? Because we have believed everything the mind has taught us, that is, as if it's true. So the question is, are you ready to transcend those minds and those beliefs and all those stories of who your mind tries to convince you you are? Are you ready for that? Because I can say, from honestly speaking from that truth of who I am, and I know some of you feel that and know that truth as well right now. There's nowhere you need to go. There's nothing you need to do to experience that truth. You don't need to climb a mountaintop. You don't need to go visit a guru. And there's absolutely nothing that you need to accomplish this spectacular deed. Oh, I need to accomplish this in order to experience that truth of who you are. It is there right now for each of us. I'm not saying that from a place of belief. That is an absolute truth within myself, to speak from that place of truth. How much time will we spend on trying to fight against the mind and the beliefs of the mind? As soon as we try to correct our thinking or try to get rid of the thoughts, or we fight the thoughts, we are empowering the thoughts as if they are real. But who are you? Who are you really? Who am I? And there's some awakened teachers that would do meditations just simply on that, asking that question, who am I? Are you your body? Are you your physical mind? Are you your thoughts? Are you your beliefs? Are you your experiences? Because if you are any of those things, then what it also means is that someday you too will fade away. Because those things are all temporary. They're all temporary, and they do not last. My meditations, when I do them, and for those of you who have watched more than one of my meditations, you'll see that they're almost always the same, which is why not a lot of people meditate with me these days, because it's similar. But if a person wants to just empty out all the craziness, empty out the past, empty out the future worries, empty out the ego, and empty out the personality, the stories of who we think we are, and empty out the control and what we're holding on to so tightly in life, and just give up all our resistance of life, all resistance. Stop trying to fix yourself. Stop trying to fix others. Stop trying to fix the world. And when you do, you will find in this emptiness the one thing that you can never empty out or get rid of. And that is the truth of who you are. That formless truth of who you are that is with you and that is always with you. You can't get rid of it. It's you. And we have so many stories that the mind convinces us we are, and some we identify with more closely than others. And I speak of, my story of arrogance. When I'm not being conscious and aware, I carry that story around. I also carry a story that I'm very insecure, which of course feeds in the story of arrogance, because when I'm insecure, I act out of, wanting to prove myself to others. This has been going on for years, and I probably said this in my talks many, many times, but it's kind of the core thing, and it's my teaching. It's my awakening. It's the thing that awakens me, because I have a choice. I have a choice to either identify with that thought as the truth, or to just take a step back and just notice it. Just be aware of it. Just be aware of it. So the title of this talk is You Are the One Who is Aware of It All. And the key word being aware. Because when you connect, like in meditation, we say, just come back to the breath. Just be aware of the breath. And we use the breath because the breath, you don't have any judgment about the breath. So it takes you out of judgment. It takes you out of the mind. It brings you back to the present moment that is beyond judgment. And it also brings you back to the truth of who you are. The one that is aware of the breath. The one that is aware of the thoughts. The one that is aware of your physical body and all your 5 senses. See, none of those things have awareness. But when you start connecting and realizing that you are the one watching it all, then there's this beautiful freedom that happens. This beautiful freedom is the best word. It's a freedom of not needing to prove yourself, not needing to fight life, not needing to change life. And it doesn't even matter. I know some people here believe in God and some people don't. Krishnamurti acknowledged, not very much, I only heard him acknowledge it at one time, but in my studies with him, he acknowledged he didn't believe in God. I happen to love God, and most of the teachers I follow love God, but I love Krishnamurti's teachings too, because his is the same teaching that when you move beyond the mind and the limited beliefs and all the fears and the judgments that the mind carries, then you can you can realize that truth of who you are that has never ever left you and will never ever leave you. No matter what you've done, no matter what you will ever do, it will always be the truth of who you are. And that is the one that is aware of it all. That is the one that is just in simple awareness without judgment. Just the one that is just being aware of it. And in that place, you move beyond the good and bad and the right and wrong, which are rooted in the mind. And I'll leave you with this. You can never, ever fully experience peace or the truth of who you are if you stay rooted in the mind, if you believe that's who you are. Because the mind will always be in judgment. That's just what the mind does. It judges things as duality, good, bad, right, wrong. And the mind in and of itself, there's nothing wrong with that unless we're a slave to it. But once we realize that we are the awareness and the mind is here to serve us, then we can experience the peace and the joy and the freedom that life has to offer right now in this very moment and right now in every present moment. I want to leave just saying I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for this community. I'm grateful for God, for how I feel God shine through me, and that is available to shine through all of us. And whether you choose God or not, it doesn't matter what you want to call it. My title is God. But life, the universe, they're always, always, always supporting us in a way of awakening us to the truth of who we are. So as soon as we're willing to give up that fight against life and just accept that life is on our side, then we can begin to flow with it and we can experience the pure beingness and truth of who we are. And for that, I am truly grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Amen. I love you, brother. I love you, and I love how I love how you continue to really to awaken to the truth of who you are. I've always loved you. I just keep seeing your light shine brighter and brighter. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, you know, no, thanks, Craig. I love what you're saying, and you're absolutely right. We are not our personalities. And the funny thing is, you know, we talk about being authentic, like, oh, or what a beautiful personality he has. If we take a deeper look at what that means, based on if we're rooted in coming from our mind, then our personality is just this perception and all these stories and labels of who we think we are, who the mind convinces us we are. So, and there's nothing bad or wrong with it. That's just the dance of life. But if we are to transcend the mind, like um, when I first had this awakening, it happened about 6 or 8 hours where all of a sudden I moved beyond the mind and I was just in the emptiness of it all. And at that moment, I go, oh my God, I had no idea of who I am. It was all these thoughts of who I think I am. Even if you look at something as simple as being a man, you know, it's like just take that one thing about, you know, that I'm a man or I am a woman, and you will find that there's all kinds of stories and labels of what you think that means. And as long as you identify with those and believe those to be true, then we will show up in ways like, I need to be a protector, I need to be a provider. And there's nothing wrong with being a protector and being a provider, but sometimes that's not what's called for. And if we're truly going to um, come from a place of deep truth and innocence and our God essence, there's something that's beyond all the labels, the preconceived notions of who we are, and that when we speak from that place, we are speaking from a place of divine wisdom. And that's the only way we can really act from divine wisdom is when we transcend the mind and all these stories of who we thought we were. Well, actually, Bob, I love that. I love that. I love that. And I'll tell you why is because you don't make this a hard game, you know, like the worst thing I have to do or the, you know, most difficult thing I have to do. That's just a thought too, okay? And the fact that you have this story that you have certain addictions, or you know that you're addicted to the mind or sex or whatever it is, remember those are all stories, and it's just what the mind has convinced you is true that you've identified with. There's nothing bad or wrong with that. I would say to you, use those as a tool. Use those as a tool that for your awakening, and that means that every time it comes up where you notice that thought that says, you know, I'm addicted to the mind, boom, when the fact that you say that you're addicted to the mind, who is it that is aware of the addiction to the mind? Because you are the one that is aware of it. So this is important for everybody because we all have stuff going on. You know, I have the story that I'm arrogant. So whenever that story comes up, let me bring myself back to the present moment. Let me just be aware of that thought, not make it bad or wrong, not try to correct my thinking, not try to get rid of it, not doing any of that. I say, Bob, you're in the perfect place because the fact that you take ownership of it and that you're aware of it, then you're in the perfect spot. Just every time it presents itself, just notice. Okay, and this is true for any thinking, any negative thinking. We can use all of it as a way of awakening to who we are, and that means by just simply, oh, I noticed this thought's going on. That's the power behind meditation, because when you meditate regularly, you start to become conscious of your thoughts during the day as well. And rather than them drag you down this hole of suffering and stress, you can still be at peace with it by just simply noticing them and letting them pass on by. You don't need to give them any energy at all. So just keep practicing, let them pass on by. You're absolutely in the perfect spot. Yeah. And I'd actually like to comment something you said, Lindsay, because I feel like this is really important as well. And when you were saying that, not getting angry or not getting reactive to the masks, I would say from a place of being aware of it all, which is what this title is about, don't try to not be angry. Don't even try to correct your thinking. Don't try to stop yourself from reacting. This is all of the mind. It's just a play of the mind. So the more you can just notice and be aware, oh, I notice there's a thought that I'm angry. Or I notice there's a thought that I'm really frustrated with people not wearing masks. Just keep being aware of it all. Just be aware of it all. It doesn't have to be a fight. It doesn't have to be a struggle. But if you get into the place where you're trying to not be angry or trying to not be reactive, then I think you might end up getting in a battle that you don't want to get into, because you're going to be fighting the mind and you won't win. But you don't have to fight the mind. All you have to do is just simply be aware of it. And in there, that's peace. So it's perfect. You're in a great space.